I'm just ready for the rematch. Like, if people was excited and enjoyed that one, just imagine the rematch. You know, this is going to be amazing.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. And it puts Anthony Joshua in a terrible situation.
Oh, most
terrible.
definitely.
He looks awful.
Oh, they begging now.
He looks terrible. He's going to fight some other guy, and no one gives a fuck. And it's like, your titles, whatever titles you got, they're bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't mean anything. Everybody knows this is where the real title is. I mean, this is it's a wrap now.
Yes. They definitely begging now. He's trying to reach out. All of a sudden now, his management has been, trying to reach out to mines as well. But he could have had this opportunity. He had many opportunities. He could have fought Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
He could have fought me. He had a chance to fight Fury as well. Like,
they're playing.
Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Eddie Hearn admits that Anthony Joshua may get beat. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang. Please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Big up to the channel members. You can join by hitting the join button below the video. Now, I read a disturbing interview, and the reason it's disturbing is because what was stated by Eddie Hearn is actually true. Let's jump right into it. You guys see it on the screen. Eddie Hearns did an interview with The Sun, a UK-based website. And he was joking about if Joshua and Wilder, when they fight, if it doesn't end in a knockout, he would retire, quit boxing. This is what he had to say. Hearns said, Joshua would be a lot easier to hit than Tyson Fury, but I also think Joshua would take Wilder off his feet and knock him spark out. Right? If Josh fights Tyson, it's going to be the most amazing event, but it's also going to be quite an awkward night. If he fights Wilder, it's going to be X-rated because someone's head is getting taken off. If that goes 12 rounds, Joshua against Wilder, I'm quitting the sport because that's ridiculous. That's not possible. Right? He goes on to say, the WBC thing is totally irrelevant. It doesn't change anything at all. But Wilder may choose to rematch Tyson Fury. It's a big fight. It just all depends on how much Wilder wants to be undisputed champion. He's always gone on about one face, one champion. Well, this is it. We may never get another chance. He may get beaten by Tyson Fury. Joshua may get beat. Who knows? But this is the chance for all the belts on the line. Right? Says Joshua already booked to defend his titles April 13th next year. Hearn did not rule out Wilder or Fury being in the opposite corner that night. Hearn added, we want Wilder, that's the difference. I think if it was a man-on-man and there were no belts, nothing, I think Joshua would prefer Fury. There's always been this, he was the champ, you won his belts and stuff like that. So maybe that's in his head a little bit, but he wants to be undisputed. I think in the back of his mind, he wants to do the job on Fury as well. He wants to do the job on both of them, and he's going to violently do that. Now, let's unpack this. First of all, Eddie Hearn revealed a lot. You got to learn to read between the lines, right? He says if there were no belts involved, Joshua prefers to fight Tyson Fury. So he just said if no belts were involved. So the whole statement he made after saying that, I think it's in the back of his mind that there was always this thing like, Tyson Fury was champ and you won his belts. But that doesn't make sense. You just said if no belts were on the line, Joshua would prefer to fight Tyson Fury. So to me, I see this inherent fear in Wilder's power, his awkward style and his power. Because if you had the chance to fight Wilder or Tyson Fury and you just created a hypothetical scenario, you said that Joshua would prefer to fight Tyson Fury. And then you follow it up by saying, there's always been this, oh, he was the champ, referring to Fury. You won his belts and stuff like that. So maybe that's in his head a little bit, but he wants to be undisputed. So that right there already doesn't make sense. Why would Joshua want to fight Tyson Fury more if your hypothetical scenario was, you know, a fight if there were no belts involved, if you could just pick someone? He says, we want Wilder. That's the difference. I think if it was man on man and there were no belts, nothing, I think Joshua would prefer Tyson Fury. So if no belts were, you know, if this wasn't about belts or anything and undisputed, why would he prefer Fury? You know, this follow-up doesn't make sense. You got to read between the lines. It says there's always been this, oh, he was the champ, you won his belts. That doesn't make sense if you just told us, you know, I hope you guys understand where I'm going. You just told us if there were no belts involved and nothing like that, and this wasn't a matter of being undisputed, Joshua would prefer to fight Tyson Fury. So to me, I think this is a clue. They know Wilder is dangerous with that power, which is why they would prefer to fight the lighter punching Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is bigger, but obviously he's not hitting as hard. You know, this is the part that's disturbing to me, and it's true. We may never get another chance. He, being Wilder, may get beaten by Fury. Joshua may get beat. Who knows? But this is the chance for all the belts on the line. And, you know, the funny thing is you could have made this fight in 2018. Joshua could have, instead of fighting Joseph Parker, he could have unified with Wilder. He didn't. No one ever talks about that. Joseph Parker had a belt, but he was also considered the weakest champion, right? So why didn't in March, instead of before the Luis Ortiz fight was scheduled, you know, why didn't Joshua's team reach out to Deontay Wilder to negotiate then? You know, there was this notion that it could happen in September, and they bullshitted around Team Joshua and then end up picking Povetkin, as you guys see in this picture, you know. And what he's saying is true. Joshua could lose. You know, he could fight Dillian White or somebody and lose, and this whole thing would be ruined. And that's the unfortunate. And this is what happens in boxing. Just like Juanma Lopez was supposed to fight Yuri Yorkis Gamboa, but these promoters and the people in suits and people get greedy, and then they try to, you know, create their own path of, you know, to the finish line that they want, you know, give their fighter a bunch of experience and, you know, sell out. You know, this is what Eddie Hearns trying to do, sell out another 70, 80,000 just on the chance that, you know, Wilder beats him, you know. And it's funny because he also says that I would quit if, he said, I would quit boxing if there's no knockout because that's ridiculous. But he didn't say if Anthony Joshua doesn't knock out Wilder. He's just promising that there will be a knockout. So, you know, to me, these things, it lacks confidence on Team Anthony Joshua. He says if he fights Wilder, it's going to be X-rated because someone's head is getting taken off. If that goes 12 rounds, Joshua against Wilder, I'm quitting the sport because that's ridiculous. That's not possible. So, again, this doesn't sound too confident. He didn't say I'll quit boxing. Okay, so break this down. He just says he believes that Joshua would knock out Wilder, right? And then he says someone's getting knocked out. So why don't you just say Wilder's getting knocked out? And if Wilder doesn't get knocked out and he knocks out Joshua, then you're quitting. Why would you say if someone doesn't get... See, you know, you got to look at the clues. You got to look at the clues. Look again. This is the quote. If he fights, he being AJ, if AJ fights Wilder, it's going to be X-rated because someone's head is getting taken off. If that goes 12 rounds, Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder, I'm quitting the sport because that's ridiculous. That's not possible. So in this article, the very same article, he says that Wilder would get taken off his feet and knock Spark out. So why didn't you say, hey, I'll quit boxing if AJ doesn't knock out Wilder? Your bet was if either fighter doesn't get knocked out in 12. So, you know, this, to me, this all proves what I already knew and what has been shown through actions. They know Wilder's dangerous. And you know, despite everything Eddie Hearns says Joseph Parker was a more dangerous fight than Wilder at a point in time. Look it up, Google it. You know, we knew that was bullshit. You know, Joseph Parker doesn't hit as hard as Wilder. He didn't have as many title defenses. He was a newer champion. He's not 6'7". He's not as awkward. He's more textbook. You know, all these things. He struggled with Raz Kujanu, who Wilder would have probably knocked out. You know. And Eddie Hearn tried to mislead the public into really believing that he believed that Joseph Parker was the more dangerous option because he was technical. But again, you hear it all in, if you read between the lines. Hearn said Joshua is a lot easier to hit than Tyson Fury. So he's admitting that Joshua is more hittable than Tyson Fury, which ironically is exactly what Tyson Fury told us at the post-fight press conference, which I was at for Wilder Fury. He says, oh man, this is why Joshua stayed away from Wilder's hand. That right hand would have nailed him. He doesn't move like me. That's exactly what Tyson Fury said. And now you have Hearn corroborating that. And then he says, but I also think Anthony Joshua would take Deontay Wilder off his feet and knock him spark out. Okay, fine. So your fight prediction is what you've said in the past. Wilder would get knocked out. Keep in mind, in the past, Eddie Hearn says Wilder would get knocked out in 3 rounds, and I don't see a mention of that. But then you say, if he fights Wilder, it's going to be X-rated because someone's head is going to get taken off. But if it goes 12 rounds, Joshua against Wilder, I'm quitting the sport because that's ridiculous. That's not possible. So again, why didn't you just say if Wilder don't get knocked out, which is what you said you believe, then you're quitting the sport. You said if it goes 12 rounds in that fight, I'm quitting the sport because that's not possible. Someone's head is getting taken off. So at the end of the day, you see this picture, and this is what they fear. They know that Wilder is an inch taller, he's awkward, he's confident, he's deadly, and he got cracks. End of story. And there's several clues throughout this interview that let you know that. He just told you if it was no belts on the line, right, Joshua would probably prefer to fight Tyson Fury. Why? Why not fight the guy who's sloppy? Why would just listen, you guys, I implore you, read between the lines. He says if Joshua fights Tyson, it's going to be the most amazing event, but it's also going to be quite an awkward night. So fast forward to what he said down here. You just said Tyson Fury is the most boring fighter in a previous interview after the Povetkin Joshua fight. And then in this specific interview, Eddie Hearn says the event would be good because, obviously 2 UK guys, Tyson Fury, and then also Anthony Joshua. But then you also admit that a fight with Tyson Fury would be really awkward. And you also admit that Wilder, had he fought Joshua's more hittable, And then you say we want Wilder. That's the difference. I think if it was a man-on-man and there were no belts, nothing, I think Joshua would prefer Fury. This is all over the place. Why would Joshua prefer the more awkward guy? But earlier in the article, you said that AJ will knock out Wilder. And in past interviews, Eddie Hearns said that Wilder would get knocked out in 3 rounds. But in this article, you admit that Tyson Fury is awkward. And now you're saying in the same interview that Joshua would prefer Fury. And then you said if there were no belts, he would prefer Fury. And then right here, you say there's always been this, Tyson Fury, he was the champ and you won his belts. Meaning every belt that Joshua has came from Tyson Fury's bad decisions or Tyson Fury being stripped after he beat Klitschko. Because he had all the belts except for Wilder's belt. But you just said up here, I think Joshua prefers Fury if there were no belts or anything on the line. This is all over the place. Like I said, read between the lines. All over the place. You say Wilder would end in a knockout. And then you say, after you say predict Wilder to get knocked out, you say someone's getting knocked out. And if someone didn't get knocked out, you would quit boxing, right? Then you say Tyson Fury is awkward, which he is, hard to hit, because you admitted that Tyson Fury's you know, he moved against Wilder to a degree that Joshua wouldn't because of his stature and his style. And then you later say, I think Joshua prefers a Tyson Fury fight, even if there were no, you know, if there were no belts on the line and it wasn't about being undisputed. So that means you would rather fight the more awkward guy, the guy that Eddie Hearn has previously called boring, you know. And then you said if no belts on the line, he wants Tyson Fury. And then you say the reason why is because there's always been this thing of, oh, he was the previous champ and then you won his belts. This shit is crazy. You can't make this up. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.